On today's episode of Let's Grow Together, I talk with Emi Kirschner, and we have such an awesome conversation. The one thing that we talk about in today's episode is work-life balance is BS. And I love that. And we talk about that. And we talk about work-life balance and the importance of relationships and prioritizing and all. It's really just a great conversation. We have a ton of fun, some really great and powerful things that you can start to implement in your life, in your business right now. So without further ado, let's dive in. But first, the intro. Welcome to Let's Grow Together. My name is Nick Bonatadabis, motivational speaker and digital marketing strategist. And this podcast is all about helping you grow both in life and business. Let's dive in. All right. I am so excited to welcome this next guest. And it was so great to how we met and just, I guess it's like the connection of meeting people through other people and how that's gone. And, you and I met at the event that you hosted. And unfortunately, right now we're in quarantine and not having events, but it was so great because, Sam introduced, who was on the show previously, and she introduced me to you and the event you were having. And I still connect with some of the other people that were at that event. So it just goes to show you the power of, creating events. So I'm very excited to welcome Emi Kirschner here with me. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm really excited to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely. We were just talking before about how our energies, correlate very well and just having a good time today. So things will be very entertaining through through today's episode. Before we dive in, yes, bring that mood with you today. So before we dive into real quick, just give us a little bit about, who you are and who you serve.
Yeah, absolutely. So I serve and work with creative service-based entrepreneurs who are struggling to get rid of all of the hats, really. They're acting as the overworked admin in their business, and to help them build marketing and sales strategies that allow them to step back and step into their visionary CEO role and really scale their business into multi-six figures. So a lot of fun. I get to see huge results. And the people that I work with are so excited because they're impacting, their people in a better way. They're more rested. They're having way more fun. And I love it. It keeps me out of trouble.
Yes, that is awesome. And I think that's a big, important part for us entrepreneurs, again, is like, how are we impacting, the people that we're working with? And then the spiral effect of how that continues on, and, so in regards to that, I think that's a good kind of intro and, starting this conversation is just like an impact in how we're impacting. And, when it comes to what you do and working with this, what's kind of like your favorite part of working with, your clients?
Oh God, well, all of it. And I think the biggest reward for me is the aha moments when they've been working with me for a few months and stuff's starting to click for them. And they're starting to see, more money come in the door. And generally it's a number of different things. It's mindset shifts. It's really having a strategic plan, and then something that they can actually implement easily that's not overwhelming, day in and day out. And while it doesn't sound very exciting, the results of that are fantastic. So
I think it's exciting. The fact that you're reducing overwhelm is something that so many people are going through and constantly go through, just, specifically with, entrepreneurs, but obviously other people as well. In just when there's so much going on, when you're balancing business and life, and so much can happen, and, you have so many things that you want to accomplish, and there's only so much time in the day,
Yeah, and I do a lot with like structuring and prioritizing and being really intentional about what you do. And I have a whole system for that. I'm actually coming out, fingers crossed, this fall like late fall, but fingers crossed, with a real like bound paper planner, business planner journal.
Awesome.
I've got the PDF kind of like mostly done right now, so I'm testing it with my clients. And it's like my entire system for breaking your year down and 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 looking at like, all right, this is what I want to accomplish this year. This is what's going to happen each quarter, and this is what I need to do tomorrow. So I'm
Awesome.
like beyond excited about it because it's working. Like I've got years of clients now who have kind of been through the process as I've been building it. I have purchased, I'm pretty sure, every freaking planner on the planet at this point to see what works and what doesn't work for me. And for people who tend to be a little bit more creative mind and adverse to structure, this gives them the structure in a really simple way without feeling confining. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it, and I'm curious to dive into that a little bit more specifically on the day to day and how that works, the different things that you've incorporated. And it doesn't necessarily need to be within the planner. I am curious about that as well, but just you in general and how you structure a basic day and the things that you're doing that have helped you to keep organized and thrive, and mindset and everything that kind of goes with having a routine.
Right. God, there's so many things that I do. I journal like first thing in the morning, hence the planner journal that I'm working on too. But it's really about like experiencing and acknowledging gratitude and what's working in my life, which I think a lot of people are doing now because it shifts your brain because we're automatically like wired to focus on things that aren't working. And that's the wrong question to be asking. It's, what is working and what's next and what can I do now are the kind of the three questions that I like to play with. I meditate most mornings because that keeps me really grounded. And I'm probably ADD or ADHD. I've never been tested and have no desire to at this point, but my head goes in 72 directions at any like one point in time. And there's a great level for me of busy where I'm super productive. And then there's like another level where I'm just, in chaos and circling around, not accomplishing anything. So it's really finding that like peak performance. The meditation really helps that and keeps me, as I said, really super grounded. But I focus a lot on threes. So like my goals there's three goals I have every quarter. One's business. Well, actually this quarter, one's business, one's wellness, and one's more spiritual. And I always have business in there, and the other two rotate through whatever I feel like I need to work on. And then my day's set by what three things am I accomplishing this week? What am I accomplishing? Three things am I accomplishing this day? And it does help you stay out of that overwhelm because like if I get those three things done, everything else is great. So it's setting myself up for success and then like getting everything put in my calendar so that be like check, check, check.
Yeah, I love that. Just like the rule of thirds, that seems like such a cool aspect to implement, because I think often, when it comes to-do lists, they're super long. And I forget what the quote is, but it's like, we underestimate what we can do in a year, but overestimate what we can do in a day or something like that. And so based on how we structure our day, if you overestimate every time, you're putting so much stuff and then you're like, I didn't get any of this stuff. Like I didn't get everything done. And then now you're envisioning that you didn't get stuff done, which is a negative thing, instead of, again, focusing on the things you did get done. And I love how you phrase that in the gratitude aspect of how, you're rewiring your brain in a way to consistently see things in a positive light. And I love gratitude journal, and I tell people to do that, but I guess a part of me never thought about it like in that aspect of how, I always like, oh, well, you start your day with gratitude, you're going to feel good throughout the day. But like, how you're saying it even more so, where you're setting that, default into gratitude right in the beginning.
Yeah. And I even will write things that I want to bring in. So, like today my thing was, I have 5 new amazing clients that I love working with. Right. And when I do that consistently, those 5 amazing clients that I love working with show up like randomly out of, right and left field that I'm not working hard for. So some of it's just really like, I've said it, I'm putting it out there, and now I'm seeking the opportunity.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
And I think that's cool that you highlight your clients, because I do the same thing with my journal, in that things that I'm grateful for often are clients, people, things of that sort. And, I think that's really important to talk about the people in a business world, and showing that gratitude. So you mentioned that you do gratitude and you have goals. Is there anything else that's in the journal that you do daily?
Yeah, I write my quarter goals, my weekly goals, and then my daily goals every day. And that's the repetitiveness piece of it. Like, it's easy to set quarterly goals and then not think about them ever again, which I did for a really long time. So I'm like, all right, well, clearly I need to see it in front of me every day.
Now, has
So that,
has everything Oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, and then also I'll write, not necessarily every day, but a lot of days I'll write an affirmation statement too.
Awesome. Yeah. I love the affirmations. And for me, the affirmations started as writing, but I've actually found that they're even more impactful when you say them out loud also.
Mhm.
And for people who are like new to it, it sounds so weird, and I remember first hearing it, like, really, I'm going to say like I am this, like, out loud. Um but it works. It feels good when you
Yeah,
say it, even though it seems weird at first.
right? Yeah, I totally agree. And I like it because it makes me feel like I'm like a superhero. Yeah, like, I got my little cape, my scepter.
There's
And
actually, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and that's a great, like, feeling good. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be experiencing. So, even if it's silly, like, then I don't care. It works
There's
for
a
me.
there's a company that I've done work with, and she teaches meditation specifically for healthcare industry. It's a company called Mindful Caring, and she teaches like the superhero pose, where you like put your hands on your hips, and
Yeah.
stand. So it's funny that you mentioned like the superhero, because like that's a thing that you can do to feel powerful
Yeah.
and to feel good in getting in that position.
I teach my Young Entrepreneur Academy kids that when we're getting ready to teach them how to pitch to the investors. And I demonstrate, while when we were doing it live, and like all of them fall out of their chair laughing and like embarrassed at the same time. And then I make them all get up and do it. So then there's more laughter. But it does, because they've never really presented in anywhere, any shape or form, other than potentially their classroom at school. It really does help them with some of the nuances of like not rocking and stepping all over the place, and speaking more loudly, because some of them, there's always a couple of them that are like super shy and super quiet.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, they think it's hysterical. So yes,
And
get your
yeah,
throat.
presenting can be difficult, and there's so much more mental capacity to presenting than it is anything else.
Oh yeah, because you got to remember what you're saying, and then you got to remember not to like dance all over wherever you're standing, and then you've got to be able to read the room all at the same time. So
Yes,
it's, yeah, really it's an interesting.
it's a
I,
practice skill for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I love it. I mean, I think I can continue to improve, but it's as I've been able to present in front of groups of hundreds instead of tens. It's really cool to get that response and seeing everybody connect and get the aha moments and value out of whatever I'm talking about. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's difficult, right now, because obviously there's not a lot of events going on, and it's so different speaking in front of a live audience than it is, like a webinar or a Facebook Live, or things of that sort.
Yeah.
Um and it's going to be interesting how that kind of unfolds going forward into how soon we'll be having events, or when that may happen, with people. But at the same time, the Zoom is kind of funny in how it's been able to bring people together from other, parts of the world or country, or different states, at least for me. I don't know. Have you had that experience as well?
Yeah, it's been really cool because like I've had a number of meetings with people from Australia or New Zealand, like halfway around the world that I might have had otherwise, but this has really been a catalyst for bringing more people together. It's been great because obviously I can see my girlfriends, and we can at least virtually socialize. But yeah, you're totally right. Like it is so much harder from a presentation standpoint because you can't read the audience. So I feel like at least, sometimes I'm just talking and I have no idea if what I'm saying is resonating with anybody. And particularly if they're feeling shy and they don't want to comment.
Yes. And it's an interesting thing too from because obviously video is a similar aspect. And, for me, and I'm sure you can relate to this too, is if you're like going live or you're doing a video that's recorded and you do like a joke and you
Yeah.
just have no idea, well, see how this goes. And then you actually don't even know if it's hitting at all, even after
Yeah.
you've posted the video, for the most
Right.
part. It's such a
Like
weird
people watch it afterwards too. So yeah.
yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So I would say too, just kind of going back into the habits, like the other thing that I try to encompass every day is play. Like I don't necessarily write that down in my journal, but having some fun and like ridiculous, silly fun, not just like, hey, let's watch a funny movie type of thing. Because I don't know, that's like a perfect de-stressor for me. So, lately I've been playing with my dogs and just, different toys and having them jump over things, and it's engaging them. They're ridiculously goofy at almost 12, even though they think that they're, 3. But as we were sharing before we recorded too, like I started, I don't remember what year it was because my kids were still living at home, but we had gotten these little like mini beach balls from, I think, my sister's husband. And I don't even remember why, but it was cold, it was dark, I didn't want to go outside, it was winter, it's probably one of those years where it like never got above 6 degrees and I wasn't working out and crabby and everything else. And we started playing with these beach balls, which very quickly, because my older son's so competitive, became beach ball volleyball in the house with official rules. And like we would just laugh our asses off, and like we're like flying through the air. I mean, the space is not that big, like that we didn't hurt ourselves or didn't break, lamps or furniture or knock over bookshelves was hysterical. But we would do it for like half an hour every day for, I don't know, weeks on end. And I actually use that now in my Life Balance is BS talk when we get to do live things. I bring a whole bunch of them and I get everybody up and playing volleyball. And they're laughing and being silly and, oh, something gets stuck in the lights and everything. And it's, again, like they're like, oh my God, we feel so much happier. So I think incorporating play in your day is crucial.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's such an important aspect. It's something that, one thing particular is like and I've talked on this podcast before about like kind of a battle I've had with television. And in more so recently, I've stopped the battle because I realized that it needs to be a part of my life in shutting down my brain and allowing that time to recover, enjoy, not just be like reading books and watching courses and working all the time, and having a way for me to kind of disconnect. So it
Yeah.
kind of ties into what you're saying and how important it is to kind of have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And your brain does. Like, I don't watch a lot of TV and I tend to watch more movies, but I go through periods where I like binge watch whatever because my brain just needs the time to not think. And even if I'm reading, like it's still thinking, particularly because I tend to read a lot of nonfiction. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's something that, we need to be glued to, but to use it as a decompression time or to just enjoy, an amazing film, like that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's just like what you said. It's the amount of time that we do it, and everything is moderation, which kind of leads into what I wanted to mention was like you're talking about balance is BS. So I'd love to kind of dive into that. a little bit more,
Oh my
because
God.
I agree, but I kind of want to hear, your side of it a little bit.
Yeah, well, it drives me nuts. Like, it's one of the things that completely irks me is trying people saying like, work-life balance, like, because there is none. There is no, like, it's never equal, and it was never designed to be equal, nor should it be equal. Like we should all just let things flow, which is what I teach. And I have a system and a framework that that shows you how to do that. And it's really like you've got to identify what's important, right? There's going to be days where your family or yourself or something else like is way more important than whatever you need to do at work. And it's really about just like allowing that to be what it is and look like what it's supposed to, instead of dividing it all into perfectly pieces of a portioned pie. So like for me it's about a river, and yeah, it's one of my, like, I'm like, oh my God. So like instead it's really for me, as I said, like the intentionality piece and focusing on the things that you want. I refer to it as the power three.
Mhm.
Identifying those things, but a lot of it's the mindset too, because like we all experience overwhelm, but that's really like our ego just stepping up and trying to keep us safe. Like, you're going to do something new that we don't know how to do, so let me freak you out. And how to overcome that, because it's just stories. Like confusion and overwhelm is just stories that keep you stuck.
Right. Like
Yeah.
overwhelm is when you look at it of like you're overwhelmed. Okay, well, like what are you overwhelmed about? And then, it's like, oh, well, I have all these things that I need to get done. And it's like, all right, well, why do all those things need to get done? And there's like this process that when you start to break it down, there's this deep underlying thing that's going on. And it's funny because a lot of it comes down to money a lot of the time, with just
Yeah.
like how people think. But one of the things that I wanted to kind of shift, you mentioned a river. I'd love for you to dive into how the comparison of work life.
Right. So
Yeah.
there's like a river, any like larger river, right? There's, as you're going through it, there's places where it's really calm and really flat. And there's places where it's a little bumpy and like that's all good. And then there's places where it's super bumpy. And then there's like the whitewater rapids. And except for the adrenaline junkies, right? Everybody else wants to be in the kind of the middle too. So sometimes the flat just gets really super boring, right? So it's really looking at, from a performance standpoint, from a satisfaction, happiness, level, all of that. It's looking at how can I stay in those two areas where I feel the best and stay out of, unless I'm an adrenaline junkie, the whitewater rapids, which I think long term, even like people who enjoy that type of stuff would get tired of it or want something that's a little bit slower, because it's draining physically speaking. And then the same thing with the really calm places.
Yeah.
It's a little boring.
It's similar to, I always think about it as like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Life's like a roller coaster. I've heard that expression before. And, I think, part of it, and it works with the river analogy as well, in that like sometimes things are going faster, but like if it was always the same, then it would be boring also. If you had a roller
Right.
coaster that was just like the same all the way and didn't have its ups and downs, you wouldn't appreciate the times that it's going up.
Right.
And we need the ups to, and the downs to appreciate the ups, and that's, to me, is like the balance. Even though it's not balance,
Right.
it's that it is like understanding that it's going to be a back and forth, and just kind of flowing with the river, keep this analogy going, and how
Yeah.
that just, and your response to the river in either trying to fight it or going with it is going to affect, your mindset and emotions.
Yeah. And when you're fighting it, like you're just resisting everything that's changing, and that never works because everything's going to change no matter what. So if you're kind of going with that flow, it's a lot easier and a lot less uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is, the only thing in life that doesn't change is that things change.
I like that.
It's just so spot on. Like there's
Yeah.
And I think with everything that's been going on in the world right now is like kind of shocked a lot of people, and really just like, I like to say from a positive standpoint, of like woke people up from the monotonous of their lives that they were going through.
Yeah, and the overscheduledness. Like in my community, at least, the conversation has been like, I'm really enjoying the slowness and I don't want to go back. So we've been talking about what are we going to do to be intentional about not going back. And some of it's just saying no to things.
Right. And it's a choice, it
Yeah.
it can be this slow, it's up to you, and how you're spending your time and focusing on the things that are going to move the ladder. A lot of times we just do things that are busy work, and just
Yeah.
do just to stay busy, and we don't need to.
Well, we all have this FOMO, like I'm missing out, so I'm going to go to all this stuff because I might miss out. And instead of really looking at what's going to be most beneficial and help me be most present and have the best experience.
Hmm. And it
So
goes back to what we talked about earlier with like the goals, because when you're writing your goals every day, then your decisions are based on those goals, and I
mhm,
think, like you mentioned, you have personal goals and business goals. So, if one of your goals is to, have more fun, then when the opportunity presents for you to, go out with friends, or, go do something that's fun, you're going to do that because it's part of your
right.
goals to do that.
Yeah. And like you're seeking the opportunity, as I said before. I spent it was last I have to think about time frame. It was like over a year ago, like 2 quarters really focusing on being present with my friends. Because I can get wrapped up into work very easily. Like the time escapes me, or I get busy doing, stuff with my kids or whatever, and I don't make the time. And I had so much fun, and those relationships are so much stronger because I was intentional about that. And it's carried over now where I have new friends that I've met through some of the older friends, and I have all of these blossoming relationships and this support system, both that I receive and that I can also give, when stuff's going on, which is incredible. And I want everybody to be able to have that.
Yeah, and it's just like you said, it's making it a priority. One of my good friends, James, and he's been on the show too. He recently just been like working nonstop, just so much, just like, and it's been,
Mhm.
probably like a year and a half of him just, and he's done so much and achieved so much. But in more recently, he's kind of stopped himself and realized, hey, I need to start focusing more on my relationship. So me and him have gone for bike rides, and so that was part of it, because I was one of the people that he wanted to, kind of keep the relationship stronger, and spend more time on. And like his stories, he's talking about, more of it. And so it just goes to show you again, like, it's okay sometimes that we get wrapped up in work, but our being present is going to allow us to see these things and what's important, and these relationships. And you know we don't want to be down the line and just being like, oh man, all I did was work so much.
Yeah. Nobody's going to remember you because you worked 100 hours a week. Like that's the
Yeah.
bottom line. Like,
Yep.
so I would rather work a little less, and make that time, productive, because I think you can achieve a tremendous amount in, 40 hours a week, or less, depending on what you're doing, and have the time with friends and family and make that, a focus. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
totally
think
agree with
there's so much out there that's like go go go, you got to work all day all night to be successful, and it's just not true. I don't believe that. I personally have taken this real recently and implemented into where I made it a point to work less, and I feel more accomplished and more achieved in so many areas of things that I've done, because I've made it a point to work less, but it allows me to focus on more things that are going to move the ladder and move the bar. And
you. Yeah.
understanding that aspect of just, all right, well, does working more actually mean like more revenue or more results? Like, no, it's not a correlation, because that would mean that every single person that works 12 hours is super successful. And it's not the case. And I'm basically like quoting James Wedmore here. And
Yeah.
I soak in everything. I try and, he's just been awesome. And I've mentioned him on this show a few times. And,
Mhm.
obviously you and I have both had the experience with James and what he teaches. But yeah, and, it just goes to that aspect that like working smarter, not harder. It's just
Yeah.
much better. It's
Yeah, I think the, work forever is an old way of thinking that's slowly being broken down. And I think like one of the opportunities here, particularly for corporate, as we go back to work is, and now that most people have figured out from a corporate office standpoint that they can work virtually, that things will be a little bit different and have more flow and priorities on something other than just grinding it out forever.
yeah, it's exactly it. And I think this, everything that's going on is changing the world forever. We talked about, virtual, calls with friends, which I think will 100% continue, because I mean, I had been using Zoom before for, podcasts, for meetings, for, just webinars and stuff. And so, but now that it's become mainstream, you know, I have trivia every Thursday with my friends, and they're all over the state.
Yeah.
The one who hosted last night, he lives in Virginia. So like this wouldn't happen, and I think we'll do this more often with friends that are not close. Like, yeah, with the friends that are in the same city as you, hopefully you'll make time to see them. But to be able to do stuff with people all over the country is so awesome. And it's just
Yeah.
shifting how the world, how work is done. you know there's big companies that are being more productive, and they're like, why am I spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on rent when we've been more productive at home
Oh
right
yeah. Yeah, my birthday was last Saturday. So Sunday, I hosted my virtual birthday party, and it was so cool because my girlfriends from far away could, celebrate with me where ordinarily they couldn't, because they wouldn't be able to make the trip. And I think doing that has been one of the best parts because I've reconnected with so many people that I just haven't talked to in forever. And even if it's not Zoom, like I've FaceTimed with more people than I normally would. So I'm wandering around the house aimlessly. But I think that connection and part of why I started the community table, the event that you came to, was because really 2 years ago now, that's what I was seeing, in the marketplace, is that everybody's on social media. It doesn't feel very authentic a lot of times. And while it's great to be connected with, people from your high school or doing business on there, and believe me, I'm on social media all the time, it's still not the same as being in person and having that community. And, based on what you said, exactly what I wanted happened, because even though it wasn't a networking event, we all, the way I designed it was for us to come together, have amazing food and conversation with a different topic every month. You still stay in touch with some of those people.
now.
And, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, one meeting and one event. I mean, when we went to BBD Live, I mean, that was a life-changing experience for me, because I met so many people there, a ton of which have been on the show and will be continue to probably be more guests on the show. But also just like talk to on a regular, consistent basis. I have accountability calls with people every single week that are from that one event. Um,
It's awesome.
yeah, it's an amazing thing, and it kind of, I think this is a good shift too, and just like the importance of who we surround ourselves with, and how that affects
Yeah.
our goals and things of what we do. How is that kind of what has your been experience from that, from maybe early on to kind of where you're at now?
With BBD
No,
or?
just from like the people that you surround yourself with and how
Oh my
that's
God.
affected. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like my journey really in like personal development started when I got divorced 13 or 14 years ago or whatever. Like that was the catalyst for me to wake up and really be like, I don't like where I'm at and I can't blame anybody else. Like
Mhm.
it's me. Like all these areas stink and I am the common denominator. And it was a slow journey, but as I've moved through that, like my friends and who I hang out with have changed. I don't even know how many times. And my kids for a while were like, why don't you talk to so and so anymore? I'm like, because we just don't jive anymore. Like they don't want the same things that I do. And it's not that they're bad people. It just I was up leveling and they were staying the same, which is, it's fine. It's their journey. But right now, like I have some incredible friends who are just, they're super smart, they're in the same place that I'm at or above, and it's great that we can learn from each other. So
Um,
yeah.
were you resistant at all to that transition?
No, I was probably really like quick with it and like, no, you're not hanging out with me anymore. There were a couple friends like in my old neighborhood that I slowly transitioned out just because they were comfortable, but I knew that like consciously that the bulk of my time should not be spent there. It wasn't helping me move forward at all. And then I kind of got to a point where I was like, you know what, they're really nice and I love them. They're like super kind, but it's not right for me to just pop in because I'm bored. So I just let some of those ties go, and then other people come in. And as I said, I spent I think 2 quarters last year really focusing on the relationships that I wanted to expand and get to know people both more personally and just have more more contact with them, but also to have like a level of vulnerability, right? Like there's a trust at a certain place that you can share your ugly and they'll be okay with it and not be judgmental and offer something of value of how to get out of the ugly. So yeah, it's been definitely an interesting journey.
Yeah, and it's one of those things for me. I definitely was like a little resistant at first, and one thing that helped me was just realizing that like just because there's some people that aren't in your life as much as they were maybe at one time or another does not mean that it takes away from the experiences and friendships that you had and that they'll be gone forever. Like if they're real friends, no matter what you do and how you progress in your life, you'll always be able to reach out to them and be friends with them even though you may not be constantly surrounded by them.
Yeah, absolutely. I also moved a lot as a child, so like it's really easy for me to skip around, and I have to be more intentional about like remaining in contact with like whoever. So yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah.
start over, start over.
I have had the opposite where I have been in the same, area my whole life. One of my friends just had her 29th birthday and I've known her since we were babies. Like, so it's just, I have so
Yeah,
many friends that I've known since we were so young that I'm
yeah,
still friends with, which is so amazing. And they're the group that I, play trivia with, right now every
right.
Thursday. And, it's great to have those people, but there's also like all these other people now that I talk to more regularly than them, that again is like helping me level up. Like you said, I think that
Mhm.
that's such an important aspect of, you know like leveling up. That's such a cool, a terminology when you think about it. It's like almost like a video game where you're like, all right, I gotta level up, and so things need to come out. What are some things that you do, or is there certain things that you do that help you to level up aside from the people that you're hanging out with?
What was the question? Sorry.
So leveling up, you talked about leveling up, and just from a personal growth standpoint, what are some things that you do to keep leveling up yourself on a regular, consistent
Okay, yeah.
basis?
Um, really, and I was just part of a mastermind a couple of weeks ago where like everybody business was way bigger than mine and way farther ahead than mine. And I want to get there. Like, and there was a part of me that was super like, oh my God, like I'm the tiny person in the room. It was uncomfortable because like I'm not there yet. Right. And the other part of me, like in complete contrast, is like, yes, I get to learn so much. So I think it's putting yourself in those spaces. Like BBD was a great place to go because you've got people that are farther ahead than you, and you could see the success stories, etc. And it's really, I think I've used the word intention about 7,000 times now, but I'm going to say it's really about being intentional about that, and seeking that opportunity to be the dumbest person in the room.
Right. I love that. Oh my gosh, that's a great quote there. Like seeking to be the dumbest person in the room. You say that out of context and like, what? No, it's the truth though. Like, the more that we can, you know, because at the end of the day, a lot of times people are scared. I've been seeing quotes recently that people are scared about being shown being small. And like the truth of the matter is, you're always going to be small in wherever it is that you're trying to go. So, if you're small right now and you just want to get like a 6-figure business, when you get a 6-figure business, then you're going to be a lot smaller than that person who has a 7-figure business. So there's no need to feel small ever, in understanding that it's just a journey and a progress, and that being
Yeah.
small is a good thing.
Yeah. It is. And if you're the smartest person in the room, you can't learn from everybody else, and you can't up level ever. So I don't want to be in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been at certain times, and I've like quickly removed myself because then for me it's just exhausting, but it's like you're dragging everybody along with you.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can relate to this too. There's this cycle that you have people in your life that were more ahead than you, and they helped you get along, and so there's people below you also that you want to be that same person for
Yeah.
those people, and it's such a cool cycle.
It is. I'm laughing because I literally was on the phone yesterday with 2 different people who used to be my mentors that I am now theirs. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
different, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about leveling up, where somebody that inspired you before, that now you're inspiring. And I think there's a level that just because somebody may be higher or lower than you, there's still inspiration that can go either
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a function of where my experience is right now. And that's okay. Like there's nothing good or bad or, wrong or whatever. Like it just is. It's a neutral place. But I was chuckling to myself because I'm like, that is just way too funny.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't really believe in coincidences. I think it's just, again, like these things happen.
Yeah.
I've had experiences recently that have just been like, this is too crazy. I had a phone call today with somebody where they talked about influence of dreams, and they're like really obsessed with how you utilize the dreams that you're having. And I was like, this is crazy that we're talking about this, because just yesterday I had a dream that I had moved to San Diego, and it's something that I talk about daily. And so now it was like, I'm literally dreaming about my dreams. And then the next day I talked to somebody who's like obsessed with that aspect and studies it and has been for the last 3 years.
That's so funny. That's so funny. I love it. Be there soon.
Yes, very soon. Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be probably August or October, somewhere in that range is where it's probably going to be more like October now with everything that's been going on. But it went from an idea, a maybe, to I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. And it's all I think about every single day.
Then it'll happen.
Do you have anything? Have you ever had any massive goals. Well, not that that's like super massive, but something like that where, just like gets you so excited every day to push towards that, like a particular goal? Do you have something specific?
I don't right now. Moving to Philly was totally like that started 3 or 4 years ago now when I had the aha moment that my kids were going to leave finally. And yeah, like I started cleaning out my house like 2 years in advance and getting it prepped and making decisions based on that. And yeah, now
And
I'm
where are
kind
you
of
originally from?
up and down the East Coast. I was born in Massachusetts. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, but
Awesome.
yeah,
Bouncing all over the place, doing different things. I love it. Awesome.
exactly.
As we kind of wind down here, I wanted to,
Yeah,
we talked a lot about different, things that have helped us along the way, and, how learning and growth is such an important part of that aspect. And one thing I like to ask a lot of my guests is there any, like books particular that you like recommend all the time that were just super impactful for you?
yeah, You Are a Badass. Any of Jen Sincero's books, read. Get the Audible version, listen to them over and over again. She is absolutely hysterical. Um, I read the Rachel Hollis books, loved those. She's funny too. Again, Audible versions. The Success Habits by Jack Canfield. I love. Those are my top three, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think somebody else had recommended the Success Habits by Jack Canfield. I gotta remember to put that one up top, because now when I hear the repetition, I lied when I asked that question that it's for the guest. It's really for me. I love to hear different recommendations for people because it helps me prioritize my insane book list that I keep moving from one thing to the next. And if I hear something talked about more than a few times, and I'm like, oh, all right, moving that one to the top.
There you go. There you go. Awesome.
Awesome. Fantastic. This was so great, Emi. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for
Oh, you're
being with me.
welcome. You're
Real
welcome.
quick,
Enjoyed it.
what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you, follow you, get into contact with you?
Oh, yeah. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn or at Emi Kirschner. And then I invite everybody to join my Facebook group, Tribe of Leaders.
Awesome. And I will put all the links in the
Yeah.
notes so you guys can get that. Thank you again, Emi.
welcome.
So awesome to have you. I can't wait till this is all over, and hopefully we can hang out in person
Yeah, before
very
you go.
soon. Yes, we'll have to make sure it's a priority. Definitely got to have like a going away something where make sure to make it happen.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening. And remember, let's keep growing together.
Wait, one more thing. I would first like to say thank you. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this message, please take a moment to write a review. By writing a review, it helps people find this message and helps me help more people. And if you really, really liked it and you think this message could help someone else, take a screenshot, share it on Instagram, and please tag me at Nick J. Boni, NickJBoni, so I can show my appreciation for you. We can all win by helping each other grow. Thank you. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.